the way the world is going, it seems gold, the prices would remain stable, if not even higher. So it's good for Ghana. I expect it would mean the mining companies continuing to use best practices and also showing corporate social responsibility towards the localities in which they mine, and also towards improving the conditions of service for their workers. I know that government has been thinking of also looking afresh at the contractual relations between the states and the mining companies. But I don't know how far the review has gone.
Staying on the resources, we know West Africa is rich in resources. Yeah. How does Ghana avoid the resource curse?
Well, we do that by respecting contracts. We do that by putting in place good frameworks for the exploitation of the resource, and on the state side, how the state manages the revenues and resources to the benefit of the people generally. We also would do that by seeking to add value to the find, promote the establishment of petrochemical industries onshore to generate employment, to produce, say, fertilizers, to support agriculture, also to improve the conditions of life of the towns and villages immediately abutting the place of exploitation. Of course, the general economy too.
The new government in Ghana perhaps saying that it was under your leadership that issues of debt and deficit reached the levels that they're at. How do you deal with such, and how do you embrace or take on?
That's a lot of political talk. Under the governments I led in two terms. The first term, Ghana took the highly indebted poor country initiative and quickly worked to re-establish the macroeconomy on an even keel, and managed it so well that within 2.5 years, Ghana had reached the completion point, at which point huge amounts of debts were written off by creditors, both the multilateral as well as the bilateral creditors, but benefiting Ghana by something like $8 billion. How do you say this government put Ghana in debt? Into the second term, again, government managed the economy so well that it was into the last year, between 2007 2008, in the teeth of the financial and economic crises that happened around the world, that we found that the good works we had done for the economy and society were being undermined by the impact of these crises. For instance, 2007-2008 budget had been done on an estimate of $60 a barrel of crude oil. And at that time, Ghana was importing oil. And the budget for that year was on an estimate of $60 a barrel. In the course of the year, the crude oil price internationally, and it's a matter of record for anybody to see, jumped from the estimated $60 a barrel to as high as $147 a barrel. We hadn't anticipated this. Government tried to, because of the liberalized economy in Ghana, we thought the oil companies should pass on the increases. But then we saw the increases were not stopping, and they went as high as 120. We are a political party with an election facing the country. We just couldn't let the prices continue unchecked. So government decided to cap the ex-pump price, and at that point, the crude had risen to $120 or $121 a barrel. So we said, at this point, any more increases would be absorbed by the state.
What were your aspirations for Ghana then, and what are they now, if they've differed, from the time you first took to office?
Oh, I took office in 2001. And I had to face a lot of challenges. This is why we took the highly indebted poor country initiative. If the conditions were good, if there were money and other resources available for my government to take off with, we wouldn't have taken the highly indebted poor countries initiative. But within the first month or two, we saw the reserves were depleted and couldn't support imports of more than 2 weeks or so. We didn't have any crude oil to refine in the state refinery. We had to go to Nigeria, for instance, to ask for terms to continue to enjoy supplies. Nigeria had blacklisted Ghana then. Fortunately, we met a receptive ear in President Obasanjo, who gave us very liberal terms, which supported us through the 8-year period we were in power. But with the debt situation, the creditors refused to continue to give us debt because they said Ghana had not told the truth about its economic health. By the time we were getting out of power, the situation had normalized so, and new banks were registering all over Ghana. The infrastructure, the roads had been relayed. The telecommunications had improved, I don't know how many percentage folds.
So in that light, you can say that you reached your aspirations, your goals, you met them.
Well, definitely, I believe we made the situation far better than we found it.